Welcome to the Impact on the Ground podcast series. I'm Tiia Sammalahti, CEO of whatimpact.com, a tech for good company with the mission to become the LinkedIn of CSR. In this podcast series, we'll dig deeper into what it takes to make an impactful change in our society. I'll give a voice to charities, social enterprises, companies, grant makers, individuals, and government officials who all have one thing in common. They are keen to make a difference. We dive into practical solutions and observe the dynamics of those who have resources to give and those working with the beneficiaries on the ground. Let's start making an impact together. So hello, everyone. Today we have a fantastic charity as a guest. The charity is called inHope from Bristol, and they are tackling holistically these kind of deprivation challenges within people in Bristol that has to do with homelessness, food poverty, mental health illnesses, and so forth. And we also have a discussions about volunteering and the importance of it, and also what kind of codes of conduct companies should build around their volunteering schemes in order to be as impactful as they can. Today, we have here from inHope, Steve and Mick. Please introduce yourself, what do you do, and a little bit of inHope.
Brilliant. So I'm Steve. I'm the Development and Relationship Manager at inHope, which means I oversee our fundraising, but also our kind of relationships with businesses, with schools, with churches, with any kind of supporters who work with us. So that's my role. And Mick?
I'm Mick. I'm the manager of the Wild Goose, which is an open access drop-in, and we work directly with people in crisis, suffering with homelessness, food poverty, and various other complex issues.
So how are things in Bristol now when we're talking about, rising energy bills, food poverty, and actually like today when we're recording, the weather is five in minus. So what kind of challenges this has created in Bristol?
So obviously we've got the whole cost of living crisis still going on around us. There's food poverty is still, very high up. We're doing some work with the food equality strategy in Bristol. We're part of that work, and there's a lot of work looking at how we can make it fairer, more accessible, and culturally available to everyone. Obviously, our community is specifically homeless and people in crisis, and they come from a variety of, culturally different backgrounds. So we try and meet their needs in the best way we can with what donated food comes in to us from various kind of sources as well.
So do you work with local authorities?
So so we're on a number of various kind of committees and forums, not just around kind of food, but around homelessness, the severe weather protocol, which is actually been activated, as we speak. So there's a number of rough sleepers still kind of sleeping out in all weathers, and local authority and a number of other frontline services, St Mungo's, have come together to provide available kind of accommodation for them while this weather's really cold at the moment. So.
Yeah, and for us, that practically means that we've opened our women's night shelter for, I think, 3 nights, just to provide that emergency cover for women, so they're not out in the kind of the -5, -6 degrees that we're experiencing in Bristol at the moment.
And that'll be reviewed at the end of the week.
Yeah, that's great. I read about the program on your website, and it's not only shelter, it's other support, isn't it? When you look at your charity description, what do? You are talking about the food poverty, mental health, homelessness, a lot of things, and you might be thinking that, oh, there's a lot to do, a lot of things, but these are all very interlinked. Would you like to shed a light to how complex, like the facts behind somebody being homeless, for instance, is? It's not only just being without home. Where does it come from?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of people with obviously complex issues that originate from, kind of childhood adverse kind of experiences, trauma. People become homeless and obviously get addicted to drugs, mental health, people suffering with mental health prior to kind of addictions. So we work with all of them that are in crisis. We provide a safe environment in terms of the cafe. We've done a lot of work around kind of making sure it's psychologically informed, so it's not institutional or, glaring to people coming in. So we've got staff that are friendly, our volunteers are friendly and open, and they literally just bring them in and kind of sit them down and, have real conversations with them so they don't feel like they're unwelcome or judged. And we kind of work from that basis there with it, with open conversations. And we don't care who you are or where you come from, in terms of what your situation is. If we can kind of help, then that's what we'll do. So we start from them conversations and we look at what people's individual needs are, and it might be whether they're homeless or rough sleeping, and we can do some partnership work with St Mungo's outreach teams. So we signpost, redirect, but also we're very hands-on, practically providing people with, clothes, toiletries, showers, and food as well. We've got a really good chef, and our provisions team do a fantastic job, catering for people day in, day out.
Yeah, and I think it's probably fair to say that kind of poverty and deprivation kind of by its nature is a bit messy. It's not a linear, people start here and work through, and we kind of recognise that people will come to us at different stages within Mixed Project, within the Wild Goose. Actually, people are probably at the more acute end of kind of deprivation, the people that might be rough sleeping or in hostels. Our life recovery program works with people who might be on the other side. They might have their accommodation sorted, but they're actually looking to rebuild their lives, rebuild their life skills, rebuild their contacts with people, and learning how to do that in a healthy and safe way. The food bank that we have reaches probably far more people, but kind of at a different level. So it's households that might be struggling to kind of meet their regular income, struggling with energy prices, struggling to feed their families and making really difficult choices, and the food bank offers kind of options for that. And our women's project kind of offers that gender-specific support for women who might not feel comfortable maybe going into other environments. So those are the things that we do, but we also recognise, and Mick's talked and alluded a little bit of it, we're just one part of a kind of a big system. So partnership is a massive part of what we do, either signposting people to other services. So Mick's team is really aware of all the other service and other options, whether that's around drug and alcohol support, whether that's around housing, whether that's around benefits, and kind of pointing people into the right directions to get that support. So we do what we can, and often, like Mick said, it's kind of got that very practical element to it. But it's also about saying, right, well, these are the other places where you can go and get support as well.
Yeah, so we meet crisis. So people come in feeling isolated, alienated, kind of lonely. They're the main ingredients when people are coming through the door with whatever crisis they're going through. And it's important for us to make them feel that they're welcome and that we want to engage them in whatever way we can. Some of the work that we've been doing to try and kind of engage people better is we've created a load of various different types of activities. Like in this room, we would have kind of homeless, haircuts for homeless will come in monthly. That's like 4 hairdressers, and they would literally, kind of give people beard trims, haircuts, just to make them feel more, more kind of alive in a sense. We've got writing clubs, we've got various kind of other activities coming online. We're hoping to start a cookery class very soon. That's going to run 5 times a year, and it's going to be really basic, but it's going to help people to become more independent in their own right in terms of finding their way, not only just around the kitchen, but actually being able to use really basic food that, that they can afford.
Yeah, and I guess, building back that dignity, is the key for everything. In the end, there won't be jobs you know, if people are not representable, you know, they're not comfortable going to interviews, they don't know how to write CVs and so forth, which might be then on the other end of success spectrum of things, but you have to build the confidence. So sounds really, really good. You rely heavily on volunteering as well, and your voluntary funded organization mainly. So you've been investing in this volunteering program, which is quite advanced. So you have a lot of training, assessment, and it's well coordinated. Could you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we've been around probably around 35 years. Volunteers have always been kind of a big part, a massive part of what we do. Even now, we couldn't do probably 20% of what we do without volunteers. We've got around 387. That's around. We got 387 volunteers at the moment, and that kind of number goes up and down all the time. But we couldn't do most of what we do without volunteers. So we're kind of built on that ethos of having volunteers. Round about 2 years ago, we decided to employ a volunteer manager who's actually taken massive steps to kind of help us align with the investors in volunteering standards. Partly because we want that volunteer workforce to feel welcomed and kind of supported, and also to grow in their own skills and maybe to kind of lead into other opportunities for them as well. So investing into that volunteer workforce is a really important way of making sure we can do what we need to do, but also kind of making sure volunteers feel welcome, part of what they're doing. We're so blessed in many ways that people generally want to make a difference. All sorts of people want to make a difference, and whether that's kind of volunteering once a week or on a one-off basis, or some potentially more often than that. People just really want to make a difference, and actually tapping into that gives them an opportunity to be involved, and also just to kind of help change the situation for so many people at the same time.
And I guess, especially when we talk about company volunteering, corporate volunteering, of course, people want to make a difference, but corporates invest in these programs also to give an opportunity for people to learn and develop themselves. And I guess this kind of a act of kindness also brings kindness to then the corporate environment as well as a return. So how are you working with companies and corporates in terms of their volunteering programs? Have they been successful?
I've just wanted to just to go about what Steve said, but it covers the corporates as well. But the investors and volunteers, and you know, the amount of volunteers that we got and we're blessed with, they do an amazing job. What we've been able to do within all of that is actually raise our standards up to not only provide while delivering, you know, the services that we're delivering, but also upskill kind of volunteers as well as staff together. So we've done a load of training, but also providing inductions for every volunteer that comes through the door. So it's an enjoyable experience for them as well. So, and
it's amazing.
Yeah, and also we've took on obviously doing risk assessments, so they feel safe and kind of confident in the environment as well.
Yeah, so yeah, we have kind of a network probably of about 30-35 corporate partners who really vary in size. Some of them are kind of one-man band businesses who just want to kind of get involved, and some are kind of local offices from national kind of partners. So it's great to see kind of that diversity of people, and they bring different skills. We've found that corporate volunteering kind of have different opportunities to kind of our regular volunteers. So they tend to be kind of more focused on kind of one-off occasions. They might want to come out for a team day, or they might want to come out to do something specific. And I know that businesses kind of all the time give their staff kind of 1 day or 2 days a year or something like that, which kind of so we kind of set them up more as tasters. I guess people will come in and do a day of bag packing in the supermarkets with us, or kind of collections, or they'll come to the warehouse and do some sorting, or they're particularly around Christmas. We kind of have extra needs. You had various businesses and even the Bristol Bears come in and do kind of stuff over Christmas, just helping out really. So yeah, it's a slightly different thing, corporates, to kind of the regular volunteers, but yeah, they all make a massive difference. And yeah,
one of the other things we did last year was, so we've got a recovery festival, and that's for, you know, people in crisis, people using lots of different services, not just ours, but all sorts of different professionals coming from all sorts of backgrounds coming to a recovery festival. So one, to celebrate recovery, but it's around mental health, it's around addictions, it's around homelessness. And last year there was about 500 people turned up to the festival, and we provided the catering side of it. But part of the catering team was a number of volunteers from a corporate business, and they mucked in, but they really enjoyed it as well, and it was great for us to have them on board.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And you know, like you mentioned, there is a need for one-timers or a couple of days a year, but then you also need the regular volunteers who continuously come in. How about, you know, like you're on our platform, or What Impact, and, you know, you are applying for resources and connecting with companies. And one great example of a partnership is now with the global engineering IT giant Leidos. And you got a £3,000 grant and some volunteering from them. £3,000, it's a big money and it's a small money comparison to maybe large grants. But what kind of impact can these kind of like a few £1,000s to 5,000 to 10,000 grants make in your kind of organization?
I mean, grants are kind of a crucial part of what we do, and it's always a bit of a balancing act. Well, as a charity, I guess, as individuals, we'd love people to kind of give us a lump sum and say, right, here you are, do what you like with this, and actually that's really incredibly useful. But equally, sometimes businesses want to pay for kind of something specific. And the Leidos grant, it's about paying for resources for activities for our clients across our organisation. So that might pay for an art course for the Wild Goose, or it might pay for a kind of an outdoor bound activity for our life recovery team, or a kind of a residential for our women's project. So they pay for really specific things as well, and that's incredibly helpful. It's kind of, you say you're right, £3,000 is a lot of money. If I gave it to you now, you go, oh great. Yeah. But actually, that pays for the women, for the people that would help. That makes a really kind of important difference, and that's stuff that we couldn't do otherwise. So
yeah. And I guess it's always that there are always costs that need to be covered. And that's why we at What Impact really encourage companies to build volunteering programs and do both non-skilled and skills-based volunteering, very specific offers. So it's easy for charities and social enterprises to apply, but also then encourage certain monetary contributions. Because like you said, that if you want to get your clients out in the world to develop skills and get experiences, or families who don't have any money for, let's say, go to amusement park, it's then, you know, the money is for the buying the ticket, or the tickets that they can get that valuable experience and have like a normal family experience that they wouldn't have money for otherwise. So it is hugely important. We've been talking.
If I share the story just from our food bank of there was a company, not through What Impact, but a different company, who gave money to buy vouchers for families to buy Christmas presents. So Argos vouchers, £25 a time, and this mum came into our food bank and was just hoping to get some food to be able to feed her family in the kind of run up to Christmas. Wasn't even thinking about Christmas presents. She had 5 children, and kind of when she was presented with 5 lots of £25, £125 worth of Argos vouchers, pretty much just broke down in kind of stunned silence as she was like, actually, I can now afford to buy I've got this, I can now get my children something for Christmas. And it's that little story, when you break it down to an individual person or an individual family, that money makes an enormous difference.
Yes, and that's why giving £1,000, £2,000, £3,000 can change a lot of things in a family, because, like, again, it's about having the dignity as a parent, isn't it? And being able to provide for your family and stuff. And these kind of things can sometimes help people to make it, or then it breaks them, because they feel so ashamed of, not being able to provide what kind of would be expected or what they wanted to do. So amazing story. And that's why also these kind of like product donations, service donations, vouchers, everything is welcome, because they will all find a home in some charity, if not your charity, but in some charity, that every resource is somehow relevant. And I'm sure that in your charity, which you do, where you do multiple kind of things, there are lots of ways to support. What kind of support, other than money and volunteers for your basic functionalities, are you looking for? Would you be benefiting from any other product donations than food products? And would you be benefiting from service donations if company could provide you free, like £0 contract service?
So we generally, throughout the week, depending on our kind of supplies, whether it's clothes, toiletries, and various other items like sleeping bags, we generally work with the communications team, Steve's team, and Sarah creates this list in terms of what we most in need of, and we generally put out on the website, so general public can kind of refer to as well. But it generally is, for us on the ground, a lot of them practical donations. We also get various food donations as well, so people phone up and say, oh, could you use this? What we've got to be careful is that we're not in, as much as we really appreciate all donations, we've got to be careful that we have a balance to what we need and what we can use, to being inundated with lots of stuff that we may need to pass on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I understand the point, especially in physical goods, they need to be stored somewhere. And that's the thing, you cannot suddenly have 10,000 bottles of shampoo somewhere hanging around. You would need to have a storage for them. And that's also something that we recommend companies to think about. The transportation storage is part of the product donation. That you have to kind of figure it out together with the charity or social enterprise. And well, that's why what impact communication channel is for, that you can actually plan your social value contributions together with the charity.
Just to add to that, obviously that's the practical side, but we have also been doing some quite exciting things with companies around using their skills. So we've got a company that sounds in some ways really boring, but actually is helping us to retender our IT system. We're looking to develop that and make ourselves more effective. And actually a company with experience of doing that is working with us pro bono to help us. We work with companies around our sustainability in terms of our environmental sustainability, and help us do assessment for that. And actually out of that, one of those companies is in the process of setting up work experience placements for some of our clients. So just little partnerships like that, using the skills that companies have. Obviously, it doesn't always fit, but often there's kind of, you work with companies to go, actually, you're really good at this. And yes, we'd love you to come and paint a room or serve them some food for us, but actually, you'd be far more used to us if you spent an hour helping us set up this or do some marketing with us on that. And actually, they're using their skills and their expertise for something that actually saves us thousands and thousands of pounds and makes us better at what we want to do. So and
that's exactly such a good example of the power of skills-based volunteering, or giving those services for free. And And I guess like you and other organizations looking for resources, just also updating the profile on what impact is important to very detailed descriptions, because companies don't sometimes even understand that their service could be valuable. They don't kind of think about it, that the charity might need it, and that might be cost-saving factor for you. Also, are you applying for grants? I just kind of want to say we have now a lot of bid writing help, and this kind of grant application help. Some companies are now focusing on that. So if you haven't applied, apply for that, because you might be getting new grants based on bid writing help.
Yeah. There's an application in process at the moment as we speak.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's good. Good. Because that is, of course, powerful skills volunteering as well.
I keep pestering them for things as well, so.
Yeah.
All these managers that keep on wanting money to do extra things.
Yeah, well, of course. But anyway, this was a lovely chat, and I'm sure this conversation has given a lot of ideas for both charities to operate, and learning from you best practices, but also how companies can structure their help in a way that it's meaningful, and also hopefully get in touch with you in Bristol. Thank you so much, Steve and Mick. And is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, just like we love working with companies. We love working with What Impact. So yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.